far as any of that relates to the defence portfolio. And he's not responsible for the private conduct of such a member, and neither is he responsible for any relationship between another member and that member. And so in answering the question, I'd invite the Honourable Minister to reflect on the limitations of his responsibility there, and rather than simply say it's unreasonable for me to have allowed the question to be asked because it's a distance from the primary question, to simply think about his ministerial responsibilities in answering it, because it would be, in my view, perhaps a little too far for me to rule out the line of questioning totally. The Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Defence, I'm unable to confirm anything that is in that particular document referred to by the member.
The Honourable Pete Hodgson.
Point of order?
Oh, point of order, the Honourable Pete Hodgson. Order. A point of order has been called. Order. Now, this was provoked by the Honourable Trevor Mallard, who interjected when a point of order had been called. Experienced member, and actually often a very good member, and should know better. The Honourable Pete Hodgson. Order. I've called the Honourable Pete Hodgson on a point of order, and he will be heard first. And
so my point of order...
He will be heard in silence, the Honourable Pete Hodgson.
...relates to the personal explanations given in respect of the Honourable Rodney Hyde, and speaks on behalf of another member. What's happened is, as I've explained in my questioning, I have done no more than accurately quote the written word of a member. That has been denied by another member in this House, and my question to you is, should the first member, on her return, want to offer a personal explanation in rebuttal of another personal explanation, will that be in order?
Order. I'm not about to rule on such a matter, and as an experienced member, Honourable Pete Hodgson should know that very well. I just draw this is an important matter, and I realise members have taken it very seriously, and I appreciate that. But we should be aware that in questions, if members look at Standing Order 371, that discreditable references to the House or any member of Parliament or any offensive or unparliamentary expression cannot be included in a question, including a supplementary question. Even if a quotation is being used, strictly if it makes discreditable reference to another member of the House, strictly it is outside standing orders. And I don't like preventing members from questioning too far, but I just mention this. Members are welcome to look at Standing Order 371. It's 371(1)(c). But I mention it because we do need to be careful here. I've allowed the questioning to go ahead, but as the Minister has pointed out, he has no responsibility for a certain document, and that is a perfectly fair answer. The Honourable Pete Hodgson.
So I'm sorry to take this matter.
Is this a further point of order?
Yes, it is.
The Honourable Pete Hodgson.
I'm sorry to take this matter, I think, just one step further. But in respect of Standing Order 371, I would like your judgment as to which discreditable reference you refer to. Is it that the Honourable Heather Roy, for example...
Order. Order. The member will resume his seat immediately. Because in pursuing this point of order, the member is about to do exactly that, perhaps make some discreditable references, and we're not going to have that by way of point of order either. Now, I think if the member has no further supplementary questions, we should move on. Point of order, the Honourable Pete Hodgson.
Let me have another go, and I apologise. I'll try and do it generically. Under Section 371, was the Speaker referring to the discreditable reference that was made by one of members of the House or about one of the members of the House?
It doesn't matter. If it's about a member of the House, it's strictly out of order, even if a member asking the question is quoting from material, even if the member is quoting from material that may derive from another member of the House, strictly under the standing orders, one cannot make a discreditable reference to another member of the House. Now, in the formation of questions, I don't apply the standing orders strictly day in, day out, because I'd be intruding far too much into question time. At least half the supplementary questions asked today have not complied strictly with Standing Order 371. But I leave it to ministers to exercise their judgment as they listen to questions, and they know when a question's fairly wide on standing orders, they've got a lot more liberty and licence then in answering it. And I'd rather let the game, if you like, the flow like that, rather than have me intervening all the time. But when it comes to an important issue like this, where members' integrity is at issue, I do then need to apply the standing orders, I believe, correctly, and I believe I am doing that. Point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
Mr Speaker, I thank you for that ruling. It is a difficult issue because I recall a very considered and important line of questioning by the Honourable Lockwood Smith in respect of Taito Phillip Field, where there were allegations of corruption made, and those allegations of corruption were quite properly questions for the floor of this House and were not ruled out of order under that particular standing order.
I'll hear the Honourable Rodney Hyde on the point of order.
The difference was, Mr Speaker, those allegations were true.
Order. No, that was totally... I asked the Honourable Rodney Hyde not to abuse the point of order process like that. I won't tolerate that further. The difference was, in fact, I made no allegations whatsoever. And I was very... If members check back on the Hansard, they'll find I was very, very careful. And for that reason, and in fact, I don't want the Speaker shouldn't be brought into the debate on this anyhow, but I just invite the member to check back on if in fact I'd made all sorts of allegations of corrupt behaviour, the line of questioning would never have lasted as long as it did. And so I take it the Honourable Pete Hodgson is finished with his supplementary questions.
One more point of order.
Honourable Pete Hodgson.
I apologise, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, sooner or later, your interpretation of 371...
Is this a point of order?
It is.
Sorry, point of order, the Honourable Pete Hodgson.
Your interpretation of 371 may get us into trouble, because it seems to me that if, for example, this document were an affidavit, it isn't. It isn't an affidavit, but if it were, and it had some degree of legal supremacy to it, that you might be of a mind to allow any allegations or disreputable remarks contained in that affidavit to stand in the House. And I wonder if you could contemplate that, perhaps not now, but sometime in time to come.
I appreciate the member's point of order. I take there's no further supplementary. We move then to question. Point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to make a personal explanation about the contents of the questions that Mr Hodgson made against me.
The Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr Speaker, we're minded to agree to the request for leave, but we need to have slightly more specific references to what the personal nature is of what Mr Hyde is seeking to correct on the record of the House, rather than a generic issues raised by
I think it's not an unreasonable point the member's making, because already House has given leave for two personal explanations, and this one would be helpful to know what it did specifically.
I'm seeking leave to make a personal explanation that I never made any defamatory statements to the Honourable Dr Wayne Mapp.
Leave is sought to make such a personal explanation. Is there any objection to that? There is no objection. The Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I have never made defamatory statements to Dr Wayne Mapp about the Honourable Heather Roy.
Question number 4. Pesitar Sam Law.